So I want you to imagine, just for a second, stepping out of your front door for like the most important event of your entire year.
Okay, setting the scene.
Right. You are wearing this perfectly tailored, brand new suit.
Hmm.
You look in the mirror and you just feel completely, unequivocally invincible, you know?
Oh, I know the feeling.
Yeah. So you take one confident, powerful stride forward and immediately, just instantly trip face first into a massive puddle of wet cement.
Oh, brutal. Just completely brutal.
Right. And as you're lying there, kind of paralyzed by the shock, you look up and see a crowd of strangers, and they're pointing, laughing, and of course, recording you on their phones.
Naturally. Because it's the modern world.
Exactly. And that visceral whiplash, that exact brutal transition from supreme, untouchable confidence to complete, humiliating panic is, well, it's what we are looking at today through a pretty unconventional lens.
It really is. It's a fascinating text we have today.
It is. We are doing a deep dive into the lyrics of a track called GGEZ by the artist M. Sasuke. Now, on paper, if you're approaching this from a beginner's perspective, if you don't play competitive video games, this just looks like a chaotic string of niche gamer slang.
Yeah, it almost looks like nonsense if you don't know the vocabulary.
Right. But if you actually listen to what is being said, it is this like masterclass in human psychology. I mean, it's a raw, real-time transcript of an ego completely collapsing under pressure.
It really is a phenomenal text to unpack
Yeah.
because you have this facade of digital bravado, and it's layered over profound vulnerability.
Oh, absolutely.
The song essentially captures the modern gladiator arena where, the physical stakes are literal zero, but the psychological stakes feel like life or death. The lyrics map out the exact sequence of a mental breakdown triggered by a virtual environment.
And the setup is just perfect. I mean, we hear it right in the opening lines. The track starts with this unearned, absolute swagger. The player says, new skin, black fit, big grin, and talks about having a cool face online.
Right, they're completely styling.
Yeah. And for anyone listening who maybe hasn't played, a skin is just a cosmetic upgrade. Like they've spent real money to put their digital avatar in a cool outfit to, well, basically to intimidate the opponent.
Exactly. But a new outfit doesn't buy you actual skill.
No, it definitely doesn't. So that reality crashes into their fantasy almost instantly. In the exact same breath as that big grin, they spiral into this desperate, wait, why am I losing?
That's the psychological armor cracking right there.
Mm.
Players buy those cosmetic items to project an aura of competence and authority, right? It's an intimidation tactic, but honestly, it's also a self-soothing mechanism.
Oh, like they're trying to convince themselves they belong at the top?
Precisely. And when the new skin fails to protect them from a better opponent, the cognitive dissonance begins. The brain has to immediately process the gap between the, untouchable god they imagined they were 5 seconds ago and the very harsh reality that they are currently losing.
Okay, let's unpack this underlying reality because to really understand the depth of that frustration, we first need to understand the actual mechanics of the battlefield itself.
Right, the environment they're operating in.
Exactly. From a beginner's viewpoint, the language in this song, terms like low HP, one tap, OP, it's honestly like listening to rapid-fire military jargon.
That's a very specific dialect.
Yeah, it's short, sharp, highly utilitarian. When I hear terms like low HP and one tap I'm dead, it sounds like the game's design is forcing the player to be hypervigilant. It feels less like a fun competition and more like, I don't know, a survival horror movie where sudden death is basically a physical jump scare.
That is a highly accurate way to frame it. The mechanics themselves are fundamentally designed to hack your nervous system.
Wow. Hack it how?
Well, let's look at low HP, which stands for low health points. You are literally on the brink of digital death. Your screen is likely flashing red. The audio is probably pumping this heavy heartbeat sound effect directly into your ears.
Oh, so it's sensory overload.
Total sensory overload. The game is artificially inducing a fight-or-flight response. Your adrenal glands are actively pumping cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream. And then right at peak tension, how does the player die? Through a one tap.
Right, the lyric literally says, one tap, I'm dead. So they are taken out by a single, perfectly placed shot, like usually a headshot, right?
Yes, exactly.
So no duel, no back and forth fight, just instant, unceremonious elimination.
And that instant elimination creates a massive physiological problem for the player. Think about the cognitive load of what led to that exact moment. The player has spent the last, say, 5 or 10 minutes in a state of extreme focus.
Right.
They are tracking sightlines, anticipating enemy movements, formulating these complex geometric strategies in their head. Their brain is working at absolute maximum capacity,
Yeah.
building all this tension and adrenaline. Then, in the span of a single millisecond click, a one tap deletes all of it.
It just ends.
The user interface simply shuts down their reality.
So they are essentially left sitting in a quiet, dark room with a massive spike of adrenaline and absolutely nowhere to put it.
Precisely. It is a severe dopamine crash. The brain was anticipating the reward of a hard-fought victory or, at least the catharsis of a prolonged gunfight. Instead, the plug is just abruptly pulled.
Wow.
The physical body is primed for a sprint, but the digital avatar is dead on the floor. That unspent biological energy instantly mutates into rage.
Which brings us perfectly to the insult that sparks the powder keg and actually the title of the song, GG Easy. Good game, easy.
The ultimate taunt.
Right. On the surface, good game is the standard handshake of competition. But adding easy completely weaponizes it. I read that as a total violation of the social contract of play.
It absolutely is.
Because it's one thing to lose, it's another for the victor to look at you, yawn, and declare that defeating you required absolutely zero cognitive effort.
It is the ultimate dismissal. Because, as you said, the social contract of a good game implies mutual respect, an acknowledgement that both parties, tried their best and shared a meaningful contest.
Right.
GGEZ shatters that contract. It explicitly tells the loser, you are not a worthy opponent. You are merely an NPC, a minor obstacle in my day. It completely invalidates the loser's effort.
And the player's reaction to this is so fascinating to me. Instead of accepting the loss, they immediately point the finger at the game's code. The lyrics go, then you came into OP, now it's looking like GG.
Ah, yes. OP.
OP meaning overpowered. They are literally claiming the opponent's character or weapon is fundamentally broken and violates the rules of the game.
This is where we see the ego construct its very first line of defense. The player's utilizing an external locus of control.
Meaning they're blaming outside forces.
Exactly. Because if they admit the opponent was simply more skilled, they have to internalize a deeply uncomfortable truth about their own inadequacy. But if the opponent is OP, if the tool they used is mathematically unfair, then the player's self-image remains intact.
That's convenient.
Very. The logic becomes, I am still a genius-level player, but the universe itself is coded against me.
Man, if the mechanics of the game are already creating this unspent adrenaline and forcing the ego to scramble for excuses like that, the physical panic described in the next section makes total sense.
It really does.
We get lyrics like heartbeat, heartbeat, red flash, and no shield, no save, and no guard, no heal. It really emphasizes this violent loss of agency.
The loss of agency is the core trauma of the competitive gamer. We are control-seeking creatures by nature, right? In our daily lives, we have relatively little control over our environments, our bosses, the economy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Video games are appealing precisely because they offer a bounded universe where the rules are clear, and if you press the right buttons, you dictate the outcome. You are the absolute master of that digital domain.
But the one tap strips that mastery away instantly.
Exactly. And that sudden lack of control is terrifying to the subconscious. When they scream, no shield, no save, they aren't just describing a game mechanic. They're describing the terrifying realization of total vulnerability. They are exposed.
And I want to challenge this defensive posture for a second because we hear the player repeatedly demanding the developers step in. They scream, nerf you, nerf you, nerf you, demanding the opponent's character be weakened.
Right.
Isn't this just like standard run-of-the-mill sore loser behavior? I mean, we see this in traditional sports all the time. A basketball player misses a shot and immediately glares at the referee, demanding a foul. Is screaming nerf you really any different than complaining about a bad call on the court?
It's a great comparison, but the psychology actually goes a layer deeper in a digital environment.
Really? How so?
Well, when a basketball player yells at a referee, they are arguing about human error in enforcing the rules. But when a gamer screams that a character needs to be nerfed because it's OP, they are arguing that the fundamental physics of the universe are corrupt.
Oh, wow.
They aren't saying the ref missed a call. They are saying the ball you are using is genetically engineered to go into the hoop, and my ball is made of lead. It is a total rejection of the shared reality.
That is wild.
What's fascinating here is that we see the absolute peak of this delusion in one of the most revealing lines in the entire song. No, actually, shut the fuck up. I was fine. I was clean. I was on my screen.
Oh, the desperation in that line is palpable. I was on my screen.
Right. And what does that even mean? It means they're arguing with the server itself.
With the actual computer infrastructure.
Exactly. Due to the tiny fractions of a second it takes for internet data to travel, there is sometimes a micro discrepancy between what player A sees and what player B sees. By screaming, "I was on my screen," the player is literally rejecting the game's objective reality.
Oh my God.
They are saying, "In my personal subjective timeline, I was safe behind a wall. Therefore, my death is an illegal glitch." It is pure cognitive dissonance. Reality does not match their self-image, so reality itself must be wrong.
It's incredible mental gymnastics. I didn't lose. The space-time continuum of the internet simply betrayed me.
Precisely.
But, if their ego is already bruised by the mechanics and this intense cognitive dissonance, the social environment around them essentially becomes the salt in that wound. The battle moves completely away from the actual game and directly into the chat box.
Oh, the chat box.
Yeah, we get lyrics like caps lock all trash and chat says uninstall. If we look at the lyrics, muted, still loud, too toxic, too proud, it seems like turning off the communication doesn't even work. How does this specific type of digital trash talk escalate the player's anger?
The chat box in these environments is fascinating because it acts as a real-time, crowdsourced critique of your self-worth. When chat tells a player to uninstall, we really have to look at the severity of that specific insult.
Yeah, I look at uninstall as the modern digital equivalent of gatekeeping. It's like telling a kid on a basketball court that they suck so badly they shouldn't just get off the court, they should throw their shoes in the trash and never touch a basketball again.
That's exactly it.
But is it really that deep of an identity rejection, or is it just, the internet being edgy?
It is an identity erasure.
Yeah.
Mainly because of how deeply intertwined modern identity is with the digital spaces. For many of these players, being a gamer isn't just a weekend hobby. It's a core pillar of who they are.
Right.
They have invested thousands of hours, built social networks, and derived a huge portion of their self-esteem from this specific ecosystem. So when a lobby full of people types uninstall, it is a communal excommunication. It's a declaration that you lack the fundamental competence required to even exist in their society.
Man. And trying to ignore it doesn't seem to help at all. The lyric, muted, still loud, too toxic, too proud, is so evocative. The player has actively muted the chat, they've turned off the communication channels, but it doesn't stop the mental spiral.
Because the damage is done, and the imagination simply takes over. Muting a toxic chat room doesn't mute your knowledge of human nature. You know they are still typing. You know they are still laughing at you.
Oh, that's terrible.
That silent condescension becomes a ghost, haunting the player. It's the psychological equivalent of walking away from an argument, but knowing the other people are whispering about you behind your back. Your brain fills in the silence with the worst possible insults.
Which directly triggers the most terrifying modern anxiety presented in the song. The player begs, don't clip, don't post that, send it to me.
Yes, the fear of the clip.
Right. A clip, for the uninitiated, is a short, instantly shareable video recording of the gameplay. Almost everyone is streaming or running software that records their screen constantly now. When the player gets humiliated, their first thought isn't about the points they lost. It's the absolute panic of being recorded. It introduces this massive panopticon effect to the game.
The panopticon is the perfect framework here. Jeremy Bentham's architectural concept of a prison, where inmates behave perfectly because they, might be watched at any given moment.
Right.
In modern gaming, you must always assume you are being recorded. Your worst, most embarrassing failures are no longer transient moments that just fade into memory. They are permanently archived data points.
That completely changes the stakes. It's exactly like that mud puddle analogy we started with. It's awful to fall in the mud. It is a completely different level of trauma to fall in the mud while 10 people are live streaming it to millions of strangers.
And that fear of digital permanence drives the player to the brink. If that clip goes viral on social media, the player isn't just a loser in a single match. They become a meme. They become a universally recognized symbol of failure.
Wow.
The ego isn't just bruised in private. It is dragged into the digital public square and put in the stocks.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though. With all of this stacked against them, the biological dopamine crash, the deep identity rejection of uninstall, the paralyzing cognitive dissonance, and the very real threat of public humiliation via a viral clip, pure rational logic dictates only one course of action.
You walk away.
Exactly. You walk away, you turn off the computer, you go outside, you read a book. But the lyrics reveal this terrifying paradox. The player explicitly screams, "I quit you, I quit you, I quit you."
Right.
They talk about Rocco Rage quitting, forcing the software to close in a fit of absolute disgust. They demand delete me. They are basically packing their bags and storming toward the door like in a toxic romantic relationship. Yet in the very next breath, the lyrics say, "Wait an invite again and you again." Why on earth do they accept the next match invite?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it explains so much about modern behavior. What's fascinating here is that the frustration itself is the mechanism of addiction.
Wait, really?
Yes. We often mistakenly believe that we only become addicted to things that make us feel good. But the brain is incredibly susceptible to unresolved loops. This is rooted heavily in the psychology of loss aversion.
Loss aversion meaning the psychological pain of losing something is mathematically more powerful than the pleasure of gaining something equivalent, right?
Exactly. Studies show that the pain of losing $50 is about twice as intense as the joy of finding $50. In the context of GGEZ, the player hasn't just lost a match. They have suffered a massive deficit to their ego and social standing.
Okay, I see where this is going.
If they walk away right then, the books are closed, the deficit is permanent, the troll who typed GGEZ wins forever.
So hitting accept on the next invite isn't about having fun at all. It's about revenge.
It's about psychological restitution. The player's brain convinces them that the only way to heal the psychic wound of the one tap is to queue up again, find that opponent, and inflict the exact same pain onto them. They are chasing the impossible goal of wiping the slate clean.
You know, I wonder if there's also an element of revenge bedtime procrastination happening here.
Ooh, that's an interesting thought.
You know, when people stay up until 3 a.m. scrolling on their phones, not because they are enjoying it, but because they feel they had no autonomy during their workday, so they are stubbornly refusing to sleep just to reclaim some control over their time. The player lost all control in the game, so they stubbornly refuse to log off until they reclaim their sense of autonomy.
That is a brilliant connection. The refusal to log off is absolutely a desperate grasp for agency.
Yeah.
If you quit after being humiliated, the opponent basically dictated your bedtime. You were forced out.
Right.
By staying online, hitting Q again, the player is stubbornly asserting, I am still here. I am still in control of my actions, even though, ironically, they are completely captive to their own anger. The lyrics capture this perfectly with the lines, I hate this, I need this, and you live rent-free.
Rent-free. That phrase says it all. The opponent has literally colonized their mind. The game has ended, the screen might even be completely off, but the player is lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, their heart still racing, replaying the moment they got shot and imagining what they should have done.
Exactly.
And the person who typed EZ is probably fast asleep, but the player is trapped in this endless mental loop.
Because the opponent didn't just defeat an avatar. They exposed the fragility of the player's self-image. And the human mind is agonizingly bad at letting go of unresolved social slights.
It really is.
The intermittent reinforcement of gaming, where you sometimes win brilliantly and sometimes lose devastatingly, acts exactly like a slot machine. The anger, the near misses, the perceived unfairness, it all just fuels the compulsion to pull the lever one more time. The GGEZ taunt is the perfect bait. It guarantees the player will find, as the lyrics conclude, no sleep, no peace.
Man, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it just changes entirely how we view a song like this. What starts as a seemingly impenetrable wall of gamer slang OP, GGEZ, nerfs, one-taps, actually decodes into a profoundly universal exploration of human vulnerability.
It really transcends the game.
It really does. It's not a song about video games. It's a surgical examination of the ego. It highlights how quickly our self-esteem shatters when our perceived skill doesn't match reality. It exposes the unique modern horror of the digital panopticon, where every failure can be clipped and weaponized against our identity. And ultimately, it outlines the insidious trap of loss aversion, where the agonizing pain of defeat becomes the exact psychological tether that prevents us from walking away.
It is the ultimate I hate this, I need this paradox.
Yeah.
The player is not a prisoner of the game's mechanics. They are held hostage by their own unyielding pride.
Which leaves us with a final, somewhat uncomfortable thought to ponder today. We've spent this time breaking down the hyper-modern, neon-lit landscape of competitive gaming and esports. The mechanics of one-taps and chat boxes, those are new. But is this intense, punishing loop of obsession, this desperate need to throw ourselves against a brick wall just to prove the wall isn't stronger than we are, truly unique to the digital age? Or have video games simply provided the newest, most brutally efficient mirror for an ancient human compulsion? The next time you step out the door in your pristine suit, feeling invincible, ready to conquer the world, remember how patiently the mud puddle is waiting. And when you inevitably fall in and the crowd laughs, ask yourself, are you going to walk away, or are you going to go inside, put on a new suit, and march right back out to fight the puddle all over again just because someone dared to tell you it was easy?